Hello, Star Wars players. We are back with another game of the top 16 TTI top cut of the current month. And today we're going to see a game between Sabine ECL and Wedge Blue. So you know my face by now a little bit, getting slowly used to it. I think this is my fourth stream on the channel. My name is Wayu98, and I'm looking forward to spending these next many minutes, hopefully, with you. So, without further ado, let's get going. I'll look at the bracket with you first, then quickly look at the deck list of the two players, and then get straight to the game. So today we are seeing game number 6 here in round one. So Sabine ECL against Wedge Blue. Basically, we just got going with the new month, and thus the top cut of the league of the previous month is just being played out. And so now, quick look at deck lists. First of all, Mikael's Sabine ECL. Um, this deck is buzzing right now. Took down the Richmond sector qualifier, and then now in Lille this past weekend we had a variant. We had Sabine Data Vault, obviously with some differences, taking down the Lille regional qualifier. So this is very much on everybody's mind at the moment. When we look at the build here, there's no big surprises in my feeling. It's interesting to note that Mikael is playing two Sandari Peacekeepers in the main, two Dark Sabers. He's also having two Chewbacca's in there. So that's interesting to note. We will talk about the sideboard only between games one and two. So let's quickly look at Wedge Blue, and I think there is quite some innovation here. This is not a deck list that everybody has on their minds. And beware, though, the two players know each other's deck lists because we are playing the top cut as you would do in any real life event with open deck lists and any competitive real life event. And so Mikael very much knows what's coming here. And MrK, though, came up with something in my feeling here. So if I counted correctly, we have a total of 21 or two drops. And that's only the units, not counting the events or the upgrades here, of course. But that's 20 potential plays for turn one alone. So it gives you a feeling that probably MrK will empty his hand pretty quickly. There's it's actually a pretty space focused deck, so you'll see lots of ships and pilots. There are two of Luke's lightsaber though, so that's for sure interesting. That also works great on the pilot Luke, and since the pilot Luke, even if he's played to space, will also bounce to ground if he is defeated, and that's something you will probably see being played on the young Luke. And then what I also find exciting is that we see two the Ghost in here. So that's a great card to see. Also, I'll quickly jump back into Sabine's list and just to reconfirm, Sabine is playing Upgrade Hate, but only in the sideboard. Three confiscates in the sideboard, so none in the main. Whereas MrK on Wedge Blue is playing three confiscates in the main board, which surely could take care of Mikael's Dark Sabers, and I'm sure Mikael is aware. So let's jump straight in then. I'll give the players the go ahead. All right. Both players rolling for the initiative here. I'm taking the top down view again, by the way. So we see a 10 for Sabine on Mikael, Mikael on Sabine, and a 5 for MrK. So the Sabine, unsurprisingly, is deciding to take the initiative here. I'm taking the top-down view again on the TTS, on one of these TTS SWU mods. I call it the classic mod because it's the one that's been around the longest, I believe. Um, and please give me any feedback on that as well as on using this mod in general. For the final stream that I did 2 days ago, no, not for the final stream. For the final stream, I used the same mod. For the stream just after the finals game, there was a Kazuda. being played in that game, I did use the other mod. So this mod allows for slightly bigger cards, so I hope you have better visibility, even though it doesn't look as fancy as the alternative mod that I also like using. Feel free to give me any feedback on that. And one last comment as an intro, and then let's focus on the game. We are on a 2-minute delay here. So for competitive integrity, I like to do the 2-minute delay, which means when you see this, I will already, and the players obviously most importantly, will already be ahead by 2 minutes. So when you discuss something in the chat, you will be able to chat in real time between yourselves, but I will see this only kind of 2 minutes after you've written this. Okay, so we are already in turn two. This was quick. Sabine didn't have a turn one play. I missed that. That's tough for sure. Now is ECLing the masterpiece to take out that Alliance X-Wing. Sabine was able to, well, she'd already had initiative. So Wedge also just started with an X-Wing, so only one unit to start with. However, now here comes the first pilot. Hera also has Restore 1. Sabine already pinged, I believe, in turn 1, now is deciding against the ping, and off we are into turn 3. Players not wasting any time here. So the masterpiece did get an experience token from the medal ceremony. Right. I think now I'm up to speed as well. So initiative with Sabine. Not wasting any time getting Sabine deployed. So MrK is deciding to play the control here and get rid of the space unit by Sabine. I believe he that he feels he should have the upper hand in space. And so he took the trade without losing his own unit. Sabine, very classically, bringing down the Darksaber, and MrK not seeing any of his 3 confiscates. That could have been a blowout there potentially, but Mikael on Sabine just went for it. And thus, MrK took the 7 damage. So now again, MrK on Wedge didn't draw into his confiscates. He is threatening 5, 8, and then the masterpiece can give an experience if everything stays as it is. So that would be 9, and now Wedge is being deployed, and he adds another 3, I believe. Yes. So he is threatening 12 damage. Of course, Sabine will now be able to heal with a Peacekeeper, and Sabine is just doing 7 to base. Wedge, though, on the 30 hit point base, so he has a little bit of buffer, but he's taking more actions this turn, pretty sure. But it seems that MrK, unsurprisingly, is very determined to stay in space. And there comes the space unit by Sabine. Now, since the masterpiece has already attacked, not an easy way for MrK to clear that without losing a unit. And now the Luke is being deployed. Sabine took initiative. And off we go. The Sundari Peacekeeper got an experience token from the attack of Sabine with the Darksaber. So from the Darksaber. All right. And we are already in turn number 5. This is quick. Also just checking that the stream actually is working as intended. Yes, it is. That's good to see. While the players are for the first time taking a little bit of a deeper breath, and unsurprisingly, well, actually, Sabine could have played this differently maybe, but Sabine decides to get rid of the 5 power threat by sacrificing her own A-wing. Right, Sundari attacks for 4 and heals 2, so that's net 6. That's also really strong. MrK gets down the next space unit. Sabine does a classic move with the Fleet Lieutenant on Sabine, so that should be 9 damage. And thus we are not going to go to a turn 7 here. That was to be expected, but that's, I think, pretty certain. Also, Sabine can still play either the 4-course or the wing leader. Both valid options. Maybe the 4-course. And actually, no, she doesn't even need to. She can just... No. Sabine needs to be careful to manage her damage here, naturally. But attacking with a Peacekeeper heals 2. Another Fleet Lieutenant would have sealed the game here for Sabine, but she's not able to. So the first game goes to MrK, goes to Wedge Blue. Sabine is threatening, the Masterpiece is threatening 7 damage. So the first action for Wedge Blue would have gotten him in the game, and so Sabine just concedes. Kind of hard to do anything with no turn 1 and 12 cards. That's what Mikael says about his Sabine turn 1 play, which I kind of missed. Still talking about the setup here, and only realized in turn 2 that Mikael also missed his turn 1 play. That's tough. And surely right that makes it much more difficult for Sabine to win. Okay, so players are sideboarding. Let's take a quick look at sideboards. So Sabine, again, has 3 confiscates in sideboard. They will surely come in. 2 Bright Hopes also, I would assume, will come in. The Sundari Peacekeeper to give a little bit more restore, also very possible to come in. And I would even see grounds for the Heroic Sacrifice. And then jumping over to Wedge. So there's more space. Hey, there's the Feather Dragon. I don't think we'll see neither the Feather Dragon nor the Luke. The Razor Crest, probably also not necessary. Wedge wants to push even more damage here. And so I'm actually interested to see what Wedge will do. Actually, we can just go back to the stream, and because Wedge is sharing his sideboard with us, here we go. Just finished doing it. Mika is still in the process of getting his Sabine ready. I'm pretty sure he will claim initiative. So he is. And off both players go. MrK is very quick there to decide. I think that those were too many upgrade pilots and not the ship that he wants to get out. Now his Mal doesn't look that much better. He has a confiscate, just decides to keep it. He's not aware, of course, that Mikael has a Darksaber on hand again. So off comes the Luke, but also he has the Luke's lightsaber, so that's actually not a bad play. Let's see whether Mikael is going to get that damage from Sabine to base or killing Luke. If she decides to go to base, which would have been the usual move for Sabine, it could have been devastating, but she decides to go for the Luke, maybe anticipating the lightsaber. So great stuff here. Good decision. Wedge answers by bringing down the blue leader. There's nothing to ambush, and Sabine also brings down the Peacekeeper, which helps her stabilize greatly. So I think the Peacekeeper is a very good unit for Sabine to play here. And there we are again already in turn number 3. Not sure everybody is aware what Wedge does. So the leader ability of Wedge allows you to play a pilot for one resource less. So that's what MrK just did. Pilot onto the blue leader, one experience token on attack, and that's 6 damage. Hmm. MrK wisely decides to pass here, expecting the possibility of a Darksaber. And now Mikael is surely pondering whether he should go the risk. Is MrK just bluffing? She wants to see it. And that's a very quick confiscate to ruin the turn for Sabine. So Sabine gets 3 to base, and the Sundari follows up with the same and also heals 2 for Sabine. And now Sabine comes up with her own confiscate. Turn number 4, both players on 5 resources. Sabine just deciding which card to resource here. So the decision, Masterpiece. Does Mikael go for the Masterpiece? Because it would decides to go for the Rebel Assault. That's interesting. The Peacekeeper is not a rebel, and so that's one of the liabilities of having the Peacekeeper in Sabine. As great as he is, and as stabilizing as those 2 restore every turn are, the one downside is that he's not a rebel, and thus Rebel Assault doesn't work with him. So MrK already again quick to get out his base units and put on the upgrades. Sabine still has all resources open and has all the options really. Decides to go for the ground deploy so that he can add on more pressure. And I think that's a good choice here. So Wedge now went to ground. Also, there was no ship on which he could have been deployed. But MrK decides to actually go with the lightsaber, since that's now not on Luke the when played effect that restores the unit. It was not in effect here. There's the Luke that I'm sure MrK would have wanted to have earlier, so that he would have possibly decided to play the lightsaber on Luke, but also Luke has only 2 hit points, so there's not too much applicability of that, I believe. So MrK didn't resource. Happy with his 5 resources. Also, what he has on hand won't cost more than that. And Sabine is still thinking, undecided what to do here. Has the initiative. I think still thinking about resourcing. Could ECL a Poe to take out the Wedge? The Wedge now is a 6/7 though. So he would need to play the Poe, ECL, use the on attack trigger first to discard a hand card and remove the upgrade. And then the Wedge would be an easy kill without Poe suiciding by himself. So that would be the play there, but probably he decides whether he shouldn't just keep on the pressure onto base. Still has that ECL open, also could be used for the Masterpiece, of course. And the Masterpiece would now activate both 2 of its 4 on attack triggers. So green adds an experience token to any unit, potentially also the Masterpiece itself. And by red, you can do a damage to a unit or a base. So that blue leader right now is a 7/5. So the Masterpiece and ECL could take out the blue leader, just about, in on ECL by giving the experience token to itself and also dealing 1 damage to the blue leader. So either, I'm sure Mika is running the math right now. Does he need to take out the blue leader and kind of play the control here, or should he just keep going to base? Mika is threatening a total of, he could also always, it's always an option to sacrifice the K2 and just do the 3 K2 damage to base, right? But if he's really focused only on doing base damage, doing the 4 to base would of course be more. So Mika is in total threatening exactly 10 damage here. The heroic sacrifice could up that to 12, and the masterpiece, if it should be doing its damage to base, the red synergy on attack ability, then it would be 13 damage, but that's not enough to take Wedge down. So decides to go for the Poe ECL here. And let's see what he does with his 2. Oh, that's interesting. He suicides the Poe, decides he doesn't need the Poe, and just takes down the pilot from the blue leader. So that's 2 damage to Wedge, so that he has only 5 remaining hit points. So the 6 attack from Poe kill Wedge and take out the pilot on the blue leader. And that's already game again. Mika is conceding at this point. Says that the lightsaber, yeah, the lightsaber was a bummer. And so what Mika could have done here is do another 7 damage, right? So he would have gotten to 25. However, MrK has 1 less action. And so MrK would just claim initiative here, do 5 to base with the buffed X-Wing, claim initiative, and do another 5 with either of his 2 units. And so since Mikael didn't have any alternatives, he just concedes at this point. So GG's to both players. Congratulations to MrK. We're going to see a Wedge Blue in the top 8. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Really nice games. That was quick. And so I'll close it with that and say, don't forget to always